introduction, I almost feel, oh, good night, everyone. After that introduction, I almost feel like this is a real television program and not like us just getting together to talk. But anyway, good night. Welcome, welcome, welcome to I've Got Two Moms. And before we get started, I just want to read from my script provided by Rudy. Housekeeping announcements. Oh, continue. Okay, continue. I have to press the button, continue. So I'm going to go through some housekeeping announcements, good people. PrideTT's events are deliberately meant to create visibility and public discussion. Tonight's session will be live streamed on our social media platforms so as to reach the widest audience and to record it so as to document our stories. We encourage you to participate openly, but feel free to change your title or photo and turn your camera off if you're more comfortable. Recording and live streaming will commence like 5 minutes ago. Opening notes. Good evening and welcome to PrideTT's third week of events for 2021. Your participation encourages us to keep up our work, which is focused on highlighting the positive contributions of LGBTQ plus persons to Trinidad and Tobago's national development. Each year, PrideTT's management committee spotlights critical segments of or issues facing our LGBTQ plus family. This year's theme is Power, which focuses on the struggle and power of our women and her stories. That's us, eh? That's us. Which have helped build our movement. We have developed and curated over 30 events aligned with this theme. Several community and ally partners. We thank them all for their friendship. Details of this year's and our archives can be found on our website, pridett.com, and all of our social media platforms, as well as our PrideTT mobile app designed by Keitha Smith at Twix a Lot. What's Twix a Lot? That sounds very sexy. Tonight's event is entitled I've Got Two Moms. It will be moderated by me, Sharon Mottley. So I can take a breath. Welcome everybody. Welcome Cheyenne. Welcome Darcel and Patty. Also on Zoom this evening we have Kaya, SH, Aaliyah, and Michael. And I thought I saw Faye earlier. Oh, and there's Faye. Hi, Faye. How you doing? And Kanisha. Good night, everybody. So we thought it was important during this month of Power to look at various aspects of the women's movement, women's issues, etc. And one of the issues that always come up is the issue of parenting, right? Some of us would like to be parents, regardless of our sexual orientation. Some of us want to have children, and some of us don't. I made the decision 26 years ago to indeed have a child, really because the doctor said it would help my endometriosis. Jabari, no, yeah, it was, he was kind of planned to cure endometriosis and it didn't actually work. But I'm happy I have him, 26 years of joy and pain and suffering. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, let us begin tonight by introducing our wonderful, wonderful guests. We have Cheyenne. Where's Cheyenne? I'm not seeing.
Hi, I'm here.
So why are you not on the big screen? We have Cheyenne Telfer. Cheyenne and her partner, her wife, not partner, her wife, Dana, have a 3-year-old. Kai 3, right?
Oh no, you just turned 4. June 19th.
On June 19th. So they have Kai. And so Cheyenne will share with us about that process because Mama Dana is taking care of Kai. So I don't know if she will get an opportunity to pop in. So Cheyenne, you want to say a couple words to the folks?
Sure. I think Sharon covered most of it. I'm Trinidadian, obviously. I live in Washington, D.C. now. I didn't realize when I had a kid or when we decided to get pregnant that it was such an important issue, and so something considered so touchy for many folks, until people started kind of direct messaging me, like, until I got one just maybe about a month ago, like, I don't want to pry, and it's okay if you don't tell me, but can you tell me how y'all did it, or how? And so many people I knew, people I didn't know, like, have reached out to me over the years, and I always try to be an open book. For me, it isn't a touchy issue at all. Like, I'm really open to sharing my experience, and that's why I'm here today.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much. And so we're going to be asking you lots of questions. But first, let's introduce our next couple. We have Darcel and Patty, and who are on the journey to becoming parents. So we thought it would be good to bring both groups together. I was really hoping, things come up in my head last minute, and I was like, God, it would be great to have two dads. It would be great to have some trans parents. So I threw it out there. So we don't know if we'll get some other people joining, but let's keep our fingers crossed. So yeah, so Darcy and Patty, say hi and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi. So I'm Darcel. We've been on this journey for a few years now, I think since 2018 or so.
Yeah.
Trying a lot of different methods. I think over the last few months, we realized, like we have just been holding this huge process just between the two of us and, well, a few friends who might have been through it before. But yeah, it became too much and we had to just like get it out there into the world.
Yeah.
So we started this Instagram page called Queers TTC. So Queers Trying to Conceive, and we started sharing like what the process has been so far, some past experiences, some, I guess, some ideas that we have to figure out how to make this happen. With all these eggs that we're supposed to have and like wombs, we can't seem to make it happen just yet, but we want to get the information out there and like seriously document it because yeah, people need to know.
Ouch. Sorry, the dog is biting me.
We have a baby dog.
Oh, well, bring her or him into the mix. Everybody deserves a little attention. Oh,
Coda. She's a few months old, and we've been having some a trial run of parenting because this feels like having a 2-year-old.
Yeah, that pees everywhere. And
okay.
so, well, we got the puppy because Darcel's been wanting a puppy, and we've always lived places we can't have a puppy, and we also can't seem to get pregnant fast enough, and so this is our start. But we used the local clinic. We worked with local OBGYNs, and then I also got some information from the public hospital about what's accessible, what you have to say in order to get some things done by public health. So I was hoping to share some of that today.
Okay, great. And so can I ask, Cheyenne, so I know, but you can share with the audience, and I have to call them an audience, to share with the audience, how did you go about the process? Like when did the issue arise in your relationship that y'all wanted to have a little person? And then how was it discussed on who would carry Kai?
Okay, so it's
Good
the
night.
discussion. Okay, good night, Kai.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry,
I gotta behave.
before.
I know, and I'm 54 and I still have no behavior. Sorry. Okay, I'm gonna be quiet. Go ahead. Sorry, Cheyenne.
Okay, so when my wife Dana and I were first dating, we weren't even married yet or anything. Having a kid was something she wanted to do on her own, right? So even when we met, it was something that she'd been looking into adoption. She can't I think she can probably carry, but she doesn't have any viable eggs left because she had cancer, and the combination of chemo with radiation, that kind of wipes everything out, right? Often. So she was looking at adoption, and we must have discussed it at some point. I don't remember the discussions, but the thought of carrying to me was a no. I was not interested in housing a person, right? I couldn't see it. And so, the relationship continued, we got married, and it was never, it was just she just assumed that, okay, it was a done thing, that it was off the table. And then maybe within like a couple months of us getting married, something about that safety kind of shifted. And then I had been secretly like reconsidering it in the back of my head, but something about that safety of like, okay, being married, that I decided, you know what, I'm okay with, I want to try. So I decided, let's just go have an appointment with the doctor just to see. I'm not going to do anything yet. I just want to find out, right?
And this is in Trinidad?
This is in Trinidad at
Okay.
that IVF clinic in Marval, TT IVF, I think. At that roundabout where the KFC is, like by Rickrina Cliff.
Okay.
So I went and just had tests done. I just wanted to find out. I was still not carrying any baby. I just wanted to know. And then the tests came back and basically telling me that even though, I was technically fertile, but I had like some degree of infertility because when I was younger, like 2 years old, 3 years old, I had this like rare kind of autoimmune thing called ITP, immunothrombo something, long name. And one of the long-term side effects of that is reduced fertility. And I didn't even know that there were any side effects. I mean, I was 3. And so hearing that, so essentially what it meant was that I had the egg levels of someone 10 times older. 10 years older, 10 times older, 10 years older than I was. So I was, let's say 28 or something at the time. I had the egg levels of someone approaching 40. So they were like, if you did want to have a kid, don't feel like it's just like something that's on the table forever. You kind of need to make a decision right now. And then it was kind of easy. I decided, okay, yes, I want to do this, full steam ahead. And we went through the whole process of choosing a sperm donor. They had Trini donors available. I didn't want to, I'm always finding new cousins every few months in Trinidad. So just how my family is, So I didn't want to do a Trini donor just in case I end up with some kind of accidental pumpkin vine. I decided, let's go as far as possible, right? So
this is a real thing that happens in Trinidad. This is real.
Yeah. So it was a real fair or consideration, So we ended up choosing a donor. And then luckily the IVF place, they had like a person who was accustomed to managing logistics of like customs, like clearing the whole, it comes in like some kind of cryo tank that's like has nitrogen and whatever.
Wait, hold on. So wait, rewind.
Yeah.
So how do you choose the donor? What's the process?
Okay.
It's very like futuristic.
Oh yeah. Okay. So it's kind of like online dating.
Okay. It's like online dating. Okay.
Little bit, right? Except you don't really get to meet the person, but you see their photos, whether or not they were cute when they were small. And you get like a profile, like how tall they are, whether they were athletic. They tell you, they write essays to tell you a little bit about themselves, their favorite things and their favorite food, that kind of thing. I like walks in the park and I can speak 5 languages, that kind of stuff. For me, so there's something called Patty could probably jump in and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's CMV. Okay. Which is a virus that's in the family of the herpes virus. It's not that, but it's like in the family of it. And basically, what that means is that so by the time most adults reach 40, 80% of adults will be positive for it. I am negative for it. And that meant that I could only have a donor that was also CMV negative. So that kind of, if we started off with 400 people, I was already down to 100, right? And then we wanted somebody of color. So again, the pool just kept getting smaller. Then we wanted an open donor to give our child the option of meeting the person that contributed half their DNA when they get older. And so then it was like a long list of maybe 3 people, right? And so from those 3, we kind of chose the one that we felt like, oh, in real life, we feel like we would like this person.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, I think the person was, you know, they talked nice things about their family. We liked their background. They seemed loving. And they said that they were hardworking, which is something I value more than people who think natural intelligence is the most important thing. So, right, we chose the donor, pay for the sperm. You have to sign 10 million disclosure forms and all kinds of stuff, plus submit forms from your doctor. So they had to send forms directly to the doctor. The doctor had to approve things and send it back to them. I'm not sure if it was online or not. Mm-hmm. And yeah, and so that's how we purchased it. And then getting it to the fertility clinic, to their storage center, was a whole other thing, because it has to be done within like less than 3 days or something. So it can't take long to clear. So you need
like a PCR test,
I guess.
Carry on.
Okay, so the person was following up, and then we were annoying them on top of that, like, you know, like, what about now? What about now? Okay, 5 minutes ago there was no update. How about now? Kind of thing. And in the end, everything cleared smoothly. And then we decided to do the first, like, we got 3 samples. They recommend you do 3. The first one didn't work. And so then my doctor said, well, okay, let's change the medications that we're using. And I took a break. I didn't try. So the first trial was, let's say, in end of July of that year or early August. And then I said, okay, I don't want to try it again right now. I want to take a little break. It wasn't an emotional decision. It was just, it was a lot of medication and yet like daily checkups, checking blood levels, or not sure what they're checking for, but lots of tests. So I took a break, went to Afropunk, saw Sharon there, partied, had a great time.
Blast at Afropunk.
That was amazing. Came back to Trinidad and then tried in September, and we were like waiting to find out. And then one day, so my wife works for an organization where they move them around like every few years, 3 to 5 years. And so she sends me a text saying she's on the phone with her boss. We're going to be moving to Panama. Less than 20 minutes after, so she's on the phone texting me updates, talking to her boss. Less than 20 minutes after, I get a call from the nurse saying that, oh, the test we did this morning, you're pregnant. Congratulations. And so I was like, what in the world? So it was a whirlwind time. We started off with an amazing midwife in Trinidad named Patty, who is here with stunning blue hair. And yeah, it was a pretty smooth pregnancy. I gave birth in California for legal reasons. I could get into that after if y'all want, but it's not easy. Even after you get pregnant, making sure that if you're gay, that your partner is recognized as the other parent. And so literally, California was one of the few places that we could have done that smoothly. And yeah.
And so before we move on to Patty to hear what's going on in your world with respect to conceiving and all that. So tell us, where's Kai's other DNA, half of his DNA from?
Cabo Verde. And so the donors his father is from Cabo Verde and his mother is from Portugal.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
which I like because Portuguese is like my favorite foreign language. So I felt like it was a good match.
And I don't know if viewers got a glimpse of Kai, but if you all look at Kai and you look at Cheyenne and Dana, Kai looks like the biological child of Cheyenne and Dana, you know, and so that's like incredible. It's just like incredible. Anyway, so thank you. So Patty and Darcel, tell us about your journey so far. And how does it feel being a midwife, delivering all these babies and wanting one of your own?
Yeah, it feels like pressure. I want it all the time. So basically, I came to Trinidad when I was 36. The year before, I had had a miscarriage with a friend of mine. And then I came to Trinidad in 2016 and to work at the birth center in Belmont, Mama Tutu. And then I met Darcel. So then with Darcel and I have been together forever. Yeah.
It feels like it.
We got married in 2018 in California, where I'm from. I'm from LA originally, and my mother's from Peru and my dad's from Mexico, right? So I'm Spanish. And yeah, you know, I grew up in the 90s. My, you know, sexuality unfurled in the 90s. I was a teenager in LA, and basically there was legislation against women of Spanish descent to get any sexual and reproductive health care, antenatal care. It was just like we were banned because we were fertile like rabbits. So I avoided getting pregnant like the plague, you know. Being a lesbian really helps. And it was only later in my 30s where I was like, wait, I do want to have a child. And so then I only really tried to start when I was 35 under the premise that I'm a fertile Latina and I can get pregnant just like that. No, that is a stereotype. It's not true. So I've had fertility issues, meaning that I was 38, I think the first time I tried. We got a donor. We met on a Facebook group for queers trying to conceive, basically, of color. And so I met a really cool guy from Toronto who is of Jamaican descent. And so he's gay, and we were trying. He came down to Trinidad and left us some samples at the same clinic. And we used all three and didn't get through. And so then I found a new donor. We found a new donor from Mayaro. And we tried, 4 times?
Maybe 3, but one was like with serious tracking in collaboration with
3 on our own and
just winging it.
Like a turkey baster method.
Right.
And that didn't work. So then we used the clinic and they were really semi-supportive.
They have always been very semi-supportive. Like, I want to help, but not too sure.
Yeah, they let their morals really guide them instead of like ethics. And so we have always been treated kind of like at an arm's length.
Because you're the same gender loving?
Yeah, that has to be that. Because that's how I feel.
So is this service free or is it a paid service?
Very expensive.
Not cheap.
So you're taking my money and you're trying to get her like an ass?
Yeah.
Okay. That's put.
But you know, you take it because you feel like that's the only option.
Yeah.
And when you try to do it DIY, which we did twice.
Yeah, we did it once with the IUI. So IUI is intrauterine insemination, and it's when they wash the donor sperm and make it ready to go directly into the uterus. So they bypass the vagina and the cervix. Like a little tube goes through and they put the washed sperm through, and then you have more chances of getting pregnant. It's more direct entry, right? And that's something that I've known how to do in LA and California. A lot of like queer midwives, they're doing this at home because it's very low tech and it's not rocket science, right? So I've been in that community before I came to Trinidad for like at least 6 years. You know, one of the founding people that's doing this for queer people of color, and because it's cheaper, more expensive. So duh. And so I came here with that spirit, and that clinic wasn't gonna stop me from trying myself at home with our cell, no problem. They didn't like that at all. We had to like get really smart and tactical to get our fucking sperm. So how do we get through?
Well, the donor came in 2017, in May of 2017, but we didn't actually try until much later. Oh, was it May 2018?
He came May.
Either way,
2018.
they talked about like freezing it and keeping it in quarantine for 6 months, and then like retesting, and they don't even retest the sperm, they just retest the guy. But we're like, well, we sent him out into the elements, so this doesn't make sense. And then his name didn't match on like a hepatitis B test because he has 2 last names, and one report had something and one report had something else.
Right.
And I didn't want to accept it. So they were also like holding the sperm hostage. And so we had to eventually tell them like, all right, we'll sign this waiver, like just give us a waiver. We don't care. We know that it's legit. Like
we'll assume the risk, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just very condescending in a lot of ways because all they're doing is legalese, like they're worried about getting sued. And I'm just like, but do you really treat married couples this way, straight couples? Do you really, like single women who are trying to get pregnant, are you really like regulating this for them? It was just,
and in Trinidad and Tobago, Sue, Trinidad and Tobago, all kind of things that's happened in this country and nobody ever gets sued. You know what I mean? So that sounds a little bit shady. But Sharon, this was the same place you used?
Same place I used. I didn't perceive anything. Then disclaimer, I'm autistic. So not all the social vibes I will always interpret.
But also we bought our sperm, so it had already been tested.
Oh yeah, we also bought our sperm because we bought it from a cryobank. They had done all that testing already. So we didn't have to go through that whole quarantine thing or whatever.
But that's standard even if you're straight. When I tried to get pregnant and with my best friend, and I had to put him down as my partner, and then they didn't test his sperm. They didn't know I wasn't straight or that he wasn't straight. But they do that for anyone that is getting sperm that's not married or that is not doing it through like a bank. So it's not, and that's not just them. That's in the States. They do that. I think that's like standard procedure.
So the off-camera voice is my wife, Dana, who is not wearing clothes right now. So she's not. Okay.
I won't say anything, right? No, I get it real quiet because that's McGill. I'm being inappropriate. And then Darcel and Patty, I was wondering also, because you're involved in the medical profession and because you're involved in and you know how things should be, or maybe that also makes you even more in tune to, you know what I mean? Because somebody like me, well, no, not me, because not me. I asked like a lot of questions, but the average person may go and just be like, okay, and that's the thing, Trinidadians, oh God, we don't know how to be proactive sometimes. They will tell us, well, this is how it is, and rather than question, you say, but that's not sounding right, they will go along with the process. And then, so it takes a certain type of person. And again, because you've been involved in this process, you're like, wait a minute, why does this have to be so difficult? And then the other thing is, there is a cost factor, right? Because I also have a friend who was trying with her wife to get pregnant and spent a lot of money in Trinidad and Tobago for this. And they weren't successful. And I don't know where they are in the process right now, but is it like, have you all considered other ways like adoption or surrogacy or any other thing? Did I say that wrong? Surrogacy? No, this is wrong.
No,
Go
I
ahead.
mean, we've tried a few different things. Well, how do we start this one? Because there's a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Wait,
So
Darcel, don't you want to was housing, as we using Cheyenne's terminology, yeah? Is it not an option for you to house the being?
well, yes. So I recently got tested for all the hormones, and similarly to Cheyenne, my egg reserve is actually very low for my age. Um,
How old
so
are you? Are you 30 yet?
no. And so this is why I'm like, the fuck? Like all the time I was like, nah, I don't know if I want children. Yeah, let Patty carry. But then when I realized, oh shit, I have low egg count. All right, well, like let's figure this one out. And so right now we're in the process of like coming up with this master plan to harvest both of our eggs and do IVF. And we'll try first with Patty's body to carry. And if that doesn't work, then well, we have mine. We'll try. So that's kind of where we are after trying like turkey baster, like literally just inserting it with a syringe
Into the vagina alone. So it still has to travel through the cervix, right?
unmedicated IUI, and then medicated and like tracking IUI. So now we're ready to go on to IVF.
My left tube is blocked. There's a procedure you have to get in order to find out, and it's called a hysterosalpingogram or something like
I
that.
had that. It's painful, uncomfortable, and it hurts. And it's expensive too, I think.
What is it?
Yeah. Hysterosalpingogram.
What do they call it?
And what do they do, Shy?
So basically they injected some kind of thing. I don't know if it's like a dye or something, into each side, to basically figure out whether what's going on there and to see whether or not you have any blocked tubes. It's I had to go to a special place to do it. It wasn't at it was some place downtown Port of Spain.
So this is all in Trinidad.
Everything I did was in Trinidad. Absolutely. The only thing I did was bought the sperm from abroad, but everything else was all the procedures, all the tests, they were all done in Trinidad. I did IUI also, by the way, medicated IUI.
IUI stands for those of us who don't know, IUI.
Intrauterine. Sorry, let me let Patty say it.
You said it right. Intrauterine
insemination.
Yeah.
Okay.
And quite a few doctors who just do it in their office actually here in Trinidad without going through the clinics, but that's if you have a partner who has sperm and you're like married, like really straight passing, I'm sure.
Yeah, those rules are really complex. We ran into that also in terms of insurance, because as I mentioned, it's very expensive. And we found out that like my wife's insurance, for example, had we been straight, like a straight couple, they would have paid for all the same procedures we'd done. But because we were gay, they were like, no, this is on you. She, if anybody who met my wife, they'll know she was not going to take that line down, and fought them up and down and got them to change their policy. But they literally had to write something new because there was nothing in the provisions for our case. And we only kind of got away because I was technically infertile.
Oh, okay. And so all of this sounds like it's, in addition to trying on the physical, it sounds like it's also an emotional and mental journey, right? And how does that affect a relationship? Do you all have a therapist? You know, like what? This is all, we didn't even make the baby yet, right? All of this is the stress factor in a world that already makes it difficult for us to love who we want to love. To now we want to we just want a child. We just want a being, you know, and for our bodies to be feeling us, and to even find out at 20 whatever, wait a minute, hold on, Holmes, it's not even like I have a choice where my eggs going, how they go, you know. What does that do? What is the toll? What toll does that take on y'all as individuals, on y'all as couples, and how do y'all deal with that stuff? Hi, Ray, by the way, I see my friend Ray online here. Hi, Ray.
Hi, Sharon.
Hi,
Sharon.
you know. Yes.
Oh, Dazzle and Patty.
So we go to couples therapy. There's a business called Central
Psychological Services.
And so we go to therapy there. Actually, they do virtual sessions, and so we do those now. We each go to individual therapy and we go to couples therapy. So that's where we pour our hearts out. And we also created the Instagram at Queers TTC to help share. And here's the problem we run into is that we don't feel like a real gay couple, because once we're outside of our house, you kind of have to go undercover to run around Trinidad. You can't be like too gay out there. And then I feel like you have to be careful in your job, right? You can't be too gay. And as far as me being a midwife, like, it's just too much, right? I'm very self-conscious of being a midwife and a lesbian, especially not being in California, you know what I'm saying? So I felt kind of like I was very undercover until I left my previous job. And then after I left my previous job, I was able to be myself more, you know? And so then now we're more open and out about it. But that's part of like, it's hard to really talk about it with anybody, our fertility journey, and get support right here in Trinidad, outside of like other gay people. So coming out with it, and luckily a lot of my real good clients actually accept me and are supportive, and they're cheering me on, and so that gives me a lot of life. When I don't have that, when I wasn't able to be out, I didn't have that, so I didn't feel so motivated to do it. But now I have a lot of like, we both actually, now it's not just me, it's Darcel and I, you know. And,
right. I don't know if y'all are hearing that. The rain is back. I'm just going to close the window so it's not. Let's close the window.
But yes, something I wanted to add was I think you sometimes don't realize how much you actually want to get to the finish line of having a child. And it really hit me hard at my first birth that we attended together in September. And this is him over here. We're now godparents for the first time together as a couple. But yeah, when I saw that baby, I was like, what? Like, straight people get to have mistakes like this? Wow.
you know,
it was really intense. And so that really made us go into overdrive. Like, all right, let's get serious about this. Maybe it's not working with this donor. We need new energy. And so we started looking for somebody else, and then really considering other options. So like IVF, we are considering adoption, but maybe like a little later on. And we know that one also takes a while.
We looked into adoption in Trinidad, and we basically found it just doesn't exist. It just doesn't happen. Just forget about it. Pretend it's not an option, because it really is not. There's no real adoption, and then the other option of surrogacy is even more expensive than all of these the treatments that we do to try to conceive. And so it's really hard for gay couples who want to have babies to make a family.
Right.
And that adoption is very, very difficult. They do not sever the ties between the parent, the birth parents. And even if the birth parents give up their rights of the child, they still won't allow it for some reason. It's just held up. And on the other note, I wanted to get in there, but I see the chat for some reason is disabled. I wish now somebody was on this chat who works at Scotiabank would be able to tell us with their new allowance, with their insurance to allow their same-sex partners on it, whether or not this type of insurance would be covered as a benefit under that. That means something to look into.
Yeah, and Faye, as you mentioned that CAISO had a session the other day, which I only caught the tail end of, and there's a new workplace LGBTQI workplace policy. I don't know if it's all of the acronyms, but they've been working with several organizations, I think, in the private sector on a LGBTQI workplace policy. Ray, I see you shaking your head. You've heard of it?
Yeah, I was supposed to be on the panel, but I had my short appointment that day.
Okay, so you want to share a little bit about it?
Not really.
Okay.
I come through. The policy at it's on Facebook. You know, you could just it was very well laid out. Is the whole acronym workplace policy, where they want to address things like gender expression, microaggressions at work. It's a whole list of things. Nothing much comes to mind right now.
Okay.
But
and I wonder if it covers insurance.
Insurance, I did not. Well, I'll tell you something though. It is very flexible. So what the idea was to allow businesses to come to. There's just like a framework that businesses will be able to like a model that they'll be able to adapt to their specific business. So things like insurance, I guess, are things that you could work into the policy. It's not a fixed policy. It's a workable policy.
And I guess then go ahead, sorry.
No, nothing. Ansa McCall was on board. I was really impressed about that. They're a big
conglomerate kind of.
Yeah, big stakeholder.
Well, I would say that in recent times, many of the new contracts, the 3-year contracts that most private companies tend to do with their unionized or for their employees, have been inserting sexual orientation as a ground for protection for their workers. I'm not sure how far it goes. I'm not sure if anybody has picked it up as an issue to see how far it would go, but it has been getting pushed in at the unions to protect the employees. So it's further steps, but I don't know if the workplace policy would it cover that insurance. I think it has to be the organization reaching out to whoever their insurance and health provider is and saying, okay, we have this amount of staff, or we wish to be inclusionary and diverse and so forth. So we want to include this. And then I guess the insurance will say whether or not and how much it will cost them.
Right. Thank you for that. And then I see in the chat, I've heard that surrogacy was illegal in Trinidad. Is that actually the case? And Darcel responded, and Patty responded, I don't think so, because there's pamphlets about it at the IVF clinic. So apparently it's an option here in Trinidad and Tobago. Insurance companies could be very, very difficult, and especially when it comes to us, and even beyond parenting, when we talk about being able to show up at hospitals and for our partners and make health decisions and all of those kinds of things, all of this kind of raises the issue and for us why we're doing this work, right? Because people think, oh, they just want the ability to love up or whatever. And when you really look at it, there's some really core, we want the right to love up, okay. But we want the right to be parents. We want the right to make decisions, health decisions for our partners. Not everybody is fortunate enough to be able to wed abroad. Many people live here. And then I keep thinking, if it's this tough for us as women, and people love to say it's easier for lesbians in Trinidad and Tobago, myth, right? But think about if you were 2 men right? You, the neighbors might want to come and stone your house, you know, that kind of way. And trans, you know, because we kind of put people in boxes, right? So we think about people as, and there's this misconception of gay people that we're all single, all we want to do is party and have a good time, right? And fat and whatever. And if you're a trans person, you know, like what's the reality? And I wish we had a transgender person online that could share, you know, what that experience, if they're thinking of it, or is it something that's they don't see us in the class? Hello, Kai. You ate your apple?
It is so far past his bedtime. He knows he's being cheeky by sneaking out to say hello. Say hello quickly and go back to bed.
You said
all right. Goodbye, Pumpkin. Good night.
Night, night. May the force be with you. So, Marcel and Patty, right? While y'all are longing, just you're getting a little teaser right there.
Oh, they on the babysitting list long time. As once we're in the same place, I'll be on a beach somewhere sipping some drinks.
I'm on the babysitting list too.
Oh yeah, long time. You also on the food list because
I'm on the food list too. Except I don't do I'm not a good Trinity parent because I don't believe in the notion of traditional discipline.
No, that's good. That's true. That's good. That's true. That's perfect.
Sharon,
go ahead.
It was good that you brought that up because somebody just put in the chat, would the lesbian community be open to the gay community donating? Some gays want to have kids but face a lot of risk with hetero cis women. And this whole conversation has taken me back how many decades ago when I decided that I was going to try, but you know, 2 decades ago plus, we weren't that lucky with IVF and so forth. And then I was living in Curacao, which is, while they have great medical facilities, hell no, that ain't happening over there. So I did what Patty and they did and tried the home, you know, the home turkey-based kind of thing. Because even then, the what you used to insert with the other one all the way up the cervix and stuff, that was just now being introduced at the time. So it was very expensive to even have it brought in, and was nowhere in the Caribbean that you could get it. So you had to do it abroad. So, and emotionally, it took a toll on me when you try and you sit and you wait and you wait and you're counting down those days, and then you get that sign, it ain't work, you know, and what that does to you. And I think I gave it 3 tries, and I had some gay male friends who wanted to have children too. So, but I was always concerned about whether or not somebody would stamp their claim on the child. So, right, you know, but after months of trying it, I gave up. I could not go through the emotional turmoil that it does not work. And I started late. I started in my 30s because even though the urge and the want to have a child started back in 18, you always would say, things not in place. I want this, I want that, I want that and that before I start. So I think I started late, and then hearing your stories about them eggs ain't producing the way they're supposed to, that might have been a problem, which I don't think those tests even exist then. But no, seriously, it was tough. And I think I look at it now when I'm a child. Oh, sorry, I'm a mother to a lot of people, and I think I get that need to be a mother fulfilled that way. But I look back and I say, I wouldn't have been able to do a lot of things if I had a child, the things that I've done. So jump from country to country to go live, come back, you know, those type of things you wouldn't be able to do with a child because you think about uprooting them and so forth. So I think for me, while I look back sometimes and there's a little sad tear at the end there, I think it all worked out the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for sharing. I remember when I decided to have another child. Jabari was how old, boy? And I was in a same gender loving relationship. And I was ready. And I had endometriosis, as I told you all. That didn't go away when he was born. And I was with my partner. I think I was with Cherry Ann at the time. And I decided I wanted to have another baby. And I went to see I was living in New Jersey at the time, and my doctor was Melanie Marin, an incredible doctor. I had a crush on her too. Anyway, I remember, I know, Melanie said, well, you know, the endometriosis has spread and we'll have to go in and do surgery and check it out. And she did. I had surgery. I was cut open. It wasn't a laparoscopy like previously. And then after, she said to me, she thought she was going to find a cyst or whatever. She came back and she said the endometriosis had become adenomyosis. She said, Shar, while you will be able to conceive, you won't be able to take the baby to term. You would miscarry. And it was like, you wouldn't believe I already had a child. It was just the blow of somebody. It felt like my body betrayed me. You know, what use are you? So anyway, long story short, after that became the campaign to get rid of this uterus because it was causing problems, which again, you would think that it's my body. I have a condition. I bleed profusely every month. It's out of control. It's painful, blood clots. And it took me close to 10 years of advocating, you know, to get a hysterectomy. I was like, but came back to Trinidad and had to literally, and I think Dana and I had this conversation, I had to literally, you know, harass my gynecologist to do a hysterectomy. And on top of that, when he did it, he still left in the ovaries. I was like, bro, I could end up with ovarian cancer now, but you know what I mean? But he was really concerned about this, which is happening right now, which is a hot flash at the time. But it's so incredible when you're going through these particular experiences, how little control we have over our own autonomy, right? Our own decision making, our own bodies, right? It is legislated, it is policed, etc. And so I wanted to go into the next
Before
area.
you go in, could I ask those who are on the Zoom call if they could answer the question whether or not they'll be willing to, how should I put it, co-parent with some of the gays in our community, if they want, if they would ever think about that, if they want to become mothers. Anybody?
Oh, yes, and we have quite a few people. Hi,
yeah. Okay.
Maria, Eva, Dio, I guess. Well, think about it and come back to us.
Well,
would you want to co-parent?
We could share.
What was the question?
If the L's in the community would be open to the gays in the community donating and thereby sharing the parenting of the child or children as a result of it, because some of the gays would like to have kids. And we had said in the chat before you came on, Gio, and good night to you, that gay men would also have more difficult time, and because we were discussing some of the barriers or obstacles to lesbians becoming parents.
So interesting.
Yeah, so as Sharon was saying, maybe we need to think about it a little more and come back to it before we end the program and see what we get.
I mean, well, it's definitely something that can be looked into. Well, I myself, I already have a son.
You have a what?
He's 10.
Oh, a son. Okay. Great. Thanks.
I already have a son. I have a son. He's 10 right now. I could, back there, you come.
All right, great. And we will just ask you to mute your mic. I think Patty was going to add something to that conversation. Patty, you have to unmute.
Sure. So it's definitely something we considered. Ultimately, what ends up happening is the gay couples that we were talking to, one, we really actually have stayed in touch, but there's the difficulty would have always been that we want to have our children to ourselves as much as possible. And if they were donating, we didn't want them to have any legal rights to the children because we want to travel together. We are a couple, and so we want our child, right? And so if we were with another couple or a gay man or whatever, we were always willing to let them have access in like communication, but seeing each other would be like whenever we could make it happen. And because we want to live part of the time in Trinidad and part of the time in the United States and anywhere else in the world, because that's part of our life plan is to live in other places. And so whoever would donate would have to be okay with that. And but basically the two couples that we talked to weren't down for that. And then our one donor, he was his perspective, he's also gay or queer. His perspective was that he was giving us a gift and he would just be honored. And if we stay in touch or however we decide in touch, he was okay to like sign his rights away and just stay in touch in spirit even, you know what I mean? It was a gift. So that we were down for. So that's our attempts, you know? Yeah. So I think I also just really fear men dominating the situation and taking their rights and making sure that that baby, that they're on the birth certificate. And I was never going to be willing to not have Darcel on it. So I won't even give birth in Trinidad because even though we're married, we're not going to be we're both not going to be recognized as parents, even if I'm a U.S. citizen. So fuck it, we have to give birth elsewhere. And anybody who would donate couple-wise wasn't really down for that.
Yeah.
And I wonder.
I was just gonna say, like I might be down for a co-parenting situation if like we understand where we stand in terms of like rules within the family dynamic. Because I do like the idea of like extended family and like village type relationship.
Yeah.
But if we aren't compatible in that way, I would also be open to donating my eggs or maybe doing some type of situation where
like gifting, you would gift your eggs.
Gifting. But I don't want to be a part of it if we aren't necessarily compatible with the dynamic.
Right.
So that brings me to the other side now. So if you are gifting your eggs or the gay men, the gay couples get eggs, the question is who's going to carry? So the question is, would L's or B's in the community offer surrogacy?
Right, a surrogate, whoever that surrogate might be. It could be someone straight, it could be someone gay who wants to co-parent. And the truth is,
but then that's the question had said the risk of the heterosis woman, because they were having difficulties with heterosis women and they would have more rights, I guess, than the gay couple. So they were really looking to see if people within the community themselves would be willing to be part of it.
I feel something that's been going on for ages has been what they call a lavender marriage. So a gay woman and a gay man get married and they have their children, but they're really gay and they're just raising a family together. There's a current person that is having that experience in Trinidad. So I feel like those are the ways that in countries like this where we need to suppress for safety or whatever and still live our lives, a lot of that is being done all the time right under our noses and we don't even know.
Yeah. Oh, check it out. We do know, like I know a man who he is homosexual, but opted to live a heterosexual life. And I think it's really because he wanted to be a mother. So he got a cisgendered woman and made children, and then they broke up, and he raised the 3 children. She went on to have 2 more with 2 different people, and they called him father. It was interesting. It was such a blended family because all these fathers knew, but I always said it was because he always wanted to be a mother. And this provided him the opportunity to do just that, right? And people call it a single father. But by washing, cooking, cleaning, ironing clothes, you know, so it's always interesting. But I wanted to go into the, and the other thing I wanted to say before I ask Shine about some of the legal issues is that it's good, we can plan this thing out and have all these discussions and say, okay, this is what's going to happen, and this is who's going to be lead parent or whatever couple. And then when that being comes into the world, right? That is another fact. So a couple say, okay, we will, we'll give our sperm, we good, you handle your stories. And then if they go through, the pregnancy with you all, and that being comes into there's a shift that takes place, Hello, I know, because I will tell you, I am not the most maternal person you will ever meet in your life. And when the wretch who is in the next room playing whatever, when the wretch came into, it was like, my mother said, you act like you're the last person to have a child. Nobody could bathe, nobody could do this. Right, Cheyenne? It became really kind of freaky. It was freaky. He was 6 months when he came to Trinidad and nobody else was allowed to bathe him. My mother said, what dotishness is this? Give me that child. But up until that point, he had father slave and mother slave, right? And the circle was like this. So, it's nice to talk about it on paper. Oh, yes, and you never know, because that string. But Cheyenne, talk to us a little bit about the legal implications and how, since you were the birth parent, what was the process to also get validated?
That was so complicated because we were living, we did the whole process in Trinidad, but we moved while I was still pregnant. So we were living in Panama, and we thought the easiest thing would have just been to have the baby in Panama, right? To give birth in Panama. But Panama doesn't recognize gay marriage. My wife wouldn't have been on the birth certificate. And even though we're married, got married in the States, she's American. And so then it was a whole toss-up. We even consulted a lawyer in the US, and it was unclear which jurisdiction would take precedence. And they said it would probably, what happened to you? Sorry, just now. My wife is giving off-camera comments now. What happened?
That's not what happened.
Tell me what happened.
Tell us what happened, Dana.
Okay, what happened is if you're in a country that doesn't recognize gay marriage or allow both parents to be on the birth certificate, then the non-birth parent cannot, if they're American at least, cannot necessarily bestow their nationality on the child. So if we had the kid in Trinidad or in Panama, there would have been no way for me to legally become his mother unless we did an adoption, which is a traditional adoption where I give up completely parental rights and I'm letting my wife adopt the baby, but then I forsake my parental rights. Or we moved to the States and she went through the whole green card process, and then we did a second parent adoption. But it would have been very complicated, and it would have been difficult to bring Kai to the States because he would not have been an American and he wouldn't have been recognized as my child. So he would have had to come in, he would have had to get a visitor visa like Cheyenne had in order to even enter the country.
Yes.
So it was really complicated. So we decided it was legally simpler to just have him be born in the States so that he could have both of our nationalities.
And not every state was the same. So even for same-sex couples, there's a process called a second parent adoption where you just kind of you make double, triple sure that the other parent has parental rights as well. In many states, you have to actually go to court to file papers for that process to happen. Whereas in California, it's just like
in every state you have to have the court sign off on it.
Yeah, but in California, it was an administrative process. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, can either.
Sorry,
I'm telling her either she on the call or she not on the call.
Dana, what's it called again, please?
Dana, tell Patty what it's called.
It's called a second parent adoption. And so Kai was born in California. Both of us were on the birth.
Hold on a second, Dana. Hold on a second. Please, can you mute your mic if you're not speaking? Because we don't need to hear about bananas right now. Even though we like bananas, but not right at this moment. Okay, thank you.
All right, Dana, go ahead.
Go ahead. Thank you, Dana.
Sure. So basically, even if both parents are on the birth certificate or are recognized like by the community or by the schools or whomever as being parents, the non-birth parent isn't legally, like without any shadow of a doubt, the parent. Like their parentage can always be contested unless they have a legal document stating that they are in fact the legal parent, which is why it can be very useful, particularly if you're going to travel out of the country, to get to adopt the child, even if you're on the birth certificate. So we processed a second parent adoption.
And this type of adoption, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. So we processed a second parent adoption with Coming
Kai,
which basically says, irrespective of who gave birth to the child,
we're both parents.
She's already a legal parent, but with a second parent adoption, she doesn't have to give up her parental rights in order for me to also be a legal parent.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that was in addition to, now, even if we hadn't done that process, Dana would have already been on his birth certificate because we were already married, and we actually didn't even have to be married for that. We were a couple, whatever, her name would have been on the birth certificate anyway. But this just was a way to really, really make sure that, especially just like Patty and Darshal was saying, like they plan to live abroad, like we move around a lot, we want to make sure that, we can both travel with our kid. It's easiest if he is both an American and a Trinidadian. Trinidad was
talk about the Trinidad experience.
So to get his passport, right? So he has a Californian birth certificate. And the good thing is that in the state of California, you can opt to put mother or father, or you can just put parent and parent on the birth certificate. That's what we did. And so maybe this was strategic. Dana is the planner, as you probably can tell, of the family. And when we had to apply for his Trinidadian passport, when he was about 5 months old or something, that worked in our favor because Trinidad didn't have to recognize her as a parent, right? And they kind of didn't. They did it, but unknowingly. So I go to the passport office, and now Dana's middle name is Michael. So she was right there with me, and the person in the passport office or whatever was like, "Oh, so the dad's Michael. He couldn't make it." I was like, "Oh gosh, you know how it is." I had nothing to add. Dana was right there. Was good thing somebody could come and help you hold the baby up. Yep. They take the boy picture. He got his beautiful Trinidadian passport, and he's listed, as far as Trinidad is concerned, as Kai's father.
Who Dana is.
Dana is.
Listed as Kai's father.
Yeah.
Because her middle name is Michael.
Otherwise, I don't know what they would have done because they don't recognize our marriage. And I don't think that they had to, you know what I mean? They put her down. I'm not sure. So
But to be fair, it wouldn't matter if Trinidad had recognized it or not, because we already had the adoption in the United States. So even he had a right to citizenship. Just
yeah, no, he was going to be Trinidadian regardless. But we still, I like the idea of her being down as his parent as well. You know, mistake or not.
Right, and of course, Kai lets you know he is Trinidadian, especially when it comes to his sorrel that his Auntie Sharon makes and bread. Mama Dana can't get because she's not Trinidadian.
Not Trinidadian, I know. There's a passport check that has to happen if you get sorrel, for you to get sorrel. If you fail the test.
Try your best and drink some red wine. Okay, so I have kind of exhausted my list of questions. What I want to do at this point is, are there any issues that you think same gender loving women, same gender loving men, trans, gendered couples in Trinidad need to know around this process of parenting? And I also want to open it up to our audience here on the Zoom if they had any questions. And I think we're also on Facebook Live. I am not monitoring that because I don't have that many eyes. If there were any questions coming out from the Facebook Live thingamajiggy, I could check on my phone. So let's open up the floor. Does anybody have any comments?
There's one more thing I wanted to say. When we were talking about the idea, it doesn't only apply to the idea of like a known donor donating and like getting pregnant that way, you know, like as lesbians, you have a gay couple who are men, which is that legally it gets very, very, very tricky. I think let's say, for example, so there's a benefit in the person signing away their rights, I think, because you then presented with a situation where, let's say the child is raised until the age of, let's say, 12 or something by myself and my partner, right? And we were in Trinidad, and I let's say I die. Then who does my child stay with? The other parent that he's known or she has known their entire life? Or do they go to this other person? Like one of the things we did before Kai was even born was make a will. And in that will, it doesn't just cover assets, but it also talks about custody. Because I have family members that I don't want raising my child, to be quite honest. And same thing with my wife, right? So we wanted to know who our kid would go, like be able to state who our kid would go to. And my wife tried that process. She mentioned before about when she was trying to do it with a friend, a gay friend. And so she's gay, and so he was the donor, and they lied and said they were a couple, and everything was going fine or whatever. And I remember she thought it wise. They're both lawyers, right? So she thought it wise to like draw up a document, just putting into writing the fact that, you know, she's the parent or whatever. And he was greatly offended by this.
Are you talking about mine?
About your thing with.
Shy, we're not hearing you. Shy accidentally muted.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
She's saying there was more to the follow than that.
No, I'm saying the facts are wrong.
What? Tell me why.
So we had agreed to have a kid together, but we didn't have a legal document. And the night before I was supposed to get inseminated, he said he wanted to sign a legal document. And I said, well, I don't have time to draw one up and whatever. And it became a big issue. So the issue was not So you didn't draft the legal document, he drafted the legal document. Yes, and he demanded it.
And what was the legal document saying, Dana?
Yeah, what is it basically saying? That he wanted visitation rights, but he didn't want any legal or financial responsibility for the child.
So you want to drop in?
Yeah, exactly.
Visiting
he wanted 2 weeks a year to be able to introduce the kid to like have the child know his family, but he didn't want any financial or legal responsibility for the child.
And was he willing to not be on the birth certificate?
I don't know. We didn't discuss that.
So he wanted to take your child. You see how I get territorial, right? He
wanted to take your
child for 2 weeks.
Every year.
Everywhere.
You're not there.
You're not there. And he not paying no child support, no anything.
I
Oh,
think
I like him. I like him. As my one would say, I like him. You know, data. Anyway, the right, he messed with the rightest one. So that was the end of the insemination exercise.
Yeah.
no.
No.
I went forward with it. I felt like, you know, I wanted to get pregnant, and I was gonna deal with it. Unfortunately, I didn't get pregnant after 3 tries.
Mhm.
So, and I ran out of eggs. I'm because of cancer and chemo.
I mentioned this.
Oh yeah. So I don't have more eggs. So, but no, I went ahead with it anyway. I just felt like, you know, I was just gonna work it out. But there are conversations which I didn't think we would have to have because we have been friends for so long. And
Right.
it came up kind of in a surprising way. And honestly, I wasn't expecting him to have any responsibility, legal or financial, but I was surprised that he wanted to put it in a legal document. And maybe if it hadn't been the night before I was supposed to get inseminated, and it would have been like a different energy around it. But it was like just really negative.
Yeah.
To me.
And I will jump in my story. I remember when I wanted to cure my endometriosis through pregnancy, and I had come home to Trinidad to tell my family that I was about to get pregnant, and they were like, "But you don't have a man," and I didn't have a man. And my aunt's only concern was she didn't want me to have artificial insemination with some sperm that I wouldn't know. And I said, "Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that." And of course, I found a man who actually was my roommate from UE, nephew, and he was real young. So I thought this was perfect, that I found a young person who I would get pregnant by, who wouldn't want any responsibility and will be merrily on his way. Yeah, okay. Until I got pregnant and he said, "Do you want to get married?" He was like 20, I was like 28. I was like, no. And I really thought at some point that he would just move on, you know, down the road. But he actually became a very integral part and still is in Jabari's life. And I was also told that I couldn't take my son out of the country because he was born in the United States without written permission. Oh yes, all of that is in the law. That you're supposed to have permission from the other parent and all of that. So it gets pretty iffy. And so when we talk about all of these arrangements, we need to be very, very conscious and do our research if we're going to use donors that we know or having some kind of verbal agreement with, or even a legal, you know, be very, very clear, because as I said earlier, when that being comes onto the planet, all kind of things change, you know? And so again,
yeah, and it's sorry, go ahead. No, I was just saying it's also not just them. What if their parents have ideas, you know, like that's my grandchild, I want to see them, or you know.
Right, and puts pressure, exactly, or what if, heaven forbid, you die, right? And there was a plan in place, and the grandparents, because that's what happens, right? The actual parent might be cool, but the grandparent is like, but that's my grandchild, and you know, that's all kinds of things come into play that makes things very iffy. Oh, but before we open the floor, Shai, you know, God, because your story, I love the story. So tell our viewers about Kai's siblings.
Oh, okay. So when we confirmed to the car bank, whatever, that like I was pregnant and we signed up for this thing called a sibling registry, right? And we signed up without even thinking about it. We forgot we even signed up. Like when he was born, then we got some kind of email and we're like, oh, hey, what's this? So we didn't have anything to do because newborn babies sleep all the time. And we logged in to check it, and we found out that he had, at the time, 2 siblings. One just born, like they're born. So he has one that's born 1 month before him, and then he's born, and then 1 month after, another one is born. And so we found out about them, and it's all Black lesbian moms. And we all like exchange our details and like would share pictures like just over the internet. We were all living in different places. Like one couple's in Atlanta, another one like DC or something, and then we were in Panama. And then we said, you know what? When they're 1 year old, we want them to meet up. And we did. So we were already in the States for something else. I don't remember what. But anyway, we put that into our plans. And we spent like 3 days or something, like a long weekend or something together, just grilling and the boys fighting. They're all boys, fighting, doing whatever. And I guess that's one of the benefits also choosing a Black donor, right? Like it's mostly couples of color, right? Yeah, and it's really, really wonderful. Since then, we found out we met more donor siblings. There's some twins out in California, and we had a play date with them. Kai was older. They were born a year after him, so he was like, these uncool babies, you know. But he was nice, but you know, it wasn't the same as kids your exact age. And one of the siblings looks so much like Kai, the one born 1 month after him, looks so much like Kai that last year for Halloween, Kai dressed up as a broccoli, right? Like a big green hat on his head and green pajamas. And we sent the picture to the moms of that kid. And they showed the picture to the little kid. And they're like, "Ooh, what's Kai? What's Kai?" And normally, you know, he's dressed up like broccoli. You would say broccoli, but he looked at the picture and he said, "He's me." Like, it's really, really wonderful. They also came down to Panama and they spent, I think, at least a week with us. And, you know, they just played and had a good time. And we try every now and then with kids, like video calls and tech is hard, but we try now and then for them to like see, even if it's videos once in a while, a call, but it's really, really nice. And we plan to do another get together when they're 5.
Isn't that an incredible story? And think about it, if these little people, when they get older, decide to roll up on Papa, if Papa is in Carpe Verde, I never say that place right? Wouldn't that be amazing that he fathered all of these children with different people, and they're all like got close, and they're rolling up to meet Papa. I think that, and then Papa may have a whole other family. So I mean, it's just that's Shy and Dana's story always warms my heart. Yeah, you know, and it's not that there isn't trial and tribulation and stress and anxiety. And then when you make the little creature, you know, they have minds and personalities of their own, but you just, you know, you get a human being to love and to nurture and to raise into a healthy adult. And it's a joy. So I understand, you know. I know on the live on Zoom here, we have parents, we have other parents who there is my girl. Come now, let me see you now. Long time I ain't see you.
Put on clothes.
That's what duty, you know. That is my duty. You're looking a little pale. I thought it hot in DC. Why aren't you out?
It's real hot. It's so hot.
I heard. Okay, so we have other people in the Zoom who are parents in same gender loving relationships and may have met their partner who had or has children. And so anybody wants to share about that experience? What is it like to parent, co-parent someone that you didn't make or know from birth? Ray, anybody else? I don't know who Kanisha is. Anybody? I know Ray's laughing. Come on, Ray. Ray was quarreling just the other day. Y'all remember about having to jump in the car and go to the gas station for her me time? So tell us what it's like raising kids, Ray. I'm an older mom.
It is torture. When they're adolescents, when they're 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and a little bit cheeky around 7. Oh Lord, 15 is a whole new ball game. I can't do this again, you know, I cannot do this again. I cannot.
Tell us what you have, Ray, and their ages. Tell us your kids, their gender, and their sex, and their ages.
2 boys, 20 and 15. More stressfully 15 than 20. And adolescence is a beast. It is a beast. It is a beast. It is a beast. It's a beast for me because I'm so difficult. I like things to be very proper and very, but it's a joy to it. Sometimes I look at certain things. His children, I don't know, they're amazing. There are things, they do things to trip you, real trip you. Like for me, I who like things proper. And then sometimes he would, like, I had him go do something the other day. He had to do, I gave him some, I think it was some towels to go put to wash. And my boy went and folded the towels. Now, I real picky, yeah? So I was like, oh, he folded these dirty towels. I was like, yes, 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 yes. You have those moments where, like, it finally, everything clicks. Um, he's a real sweetheart. 2, I had when Joe and I got together, he was 2. He's now the 2, and that's 13 goddamn years. Oh my goodness, I didn't even know where that time went. Um, it was it was really weird. I remember when we first got together, he used to call me daddy, and I didn't like it at all. I didn't like the daddy thing because I felt it was weird out in public, and I have a woman and this child is calling me daddy. And he be telling everybody he's waiting for his daddy, and then I will come up, oh good Lord, no. But as he got older, I guess he figured that out on his own.
What conversation did y'all have with him around?
None.
Okay.
It then was necessary, I guess. I guess he he was 2. He just grew up with us. What became difficult, I thought, when he came into like 13 and beyond, like started secondary school, just no, from SCA, things got tricky. I'm ready to rip down anybody who interfere with each other. A lot of times Joanna tell me, calm down, Turners talk shit in school, leave them alone, they'll sort shit out. I'm ready to go down there and make noise. But there was this one time in oh gosh, what was it? One of the children told him that his parents going to go to hell. That poor child was so upset. I was really pissed about that. And that, well, it's just trying that. So that is the kind of thing you had to deal with in this country. And he was really upset about that we're gonna die and go to hell. But outside of that, when he started secondary school, he goes to Joanne's school. Everybody in Joanne's school know Joanne have a wife, so that was normal. He didn't get any flack at all, except for sometimes when they would have some little children will spout up their parents, little homophobic nonsense in class and whatnot. But the teachers managed that very well. But he's fortunate because his mother is head of department in the damn school. So I don't know how other children who have same-sex parents manage in school with that kind of once again, the lack of comprehensive sex education. He's a joy. I can't. He's a joy. He drives off a wall sometimes, but I miss him when you're not around. He's with his daddy right now, but he calls every day. He says hi. He talks to us. It is, but it's not easy. Yeah? After that, sometimes I feel I would look at him and his mom together, and I'll feel like an outsider. Because it's a reconstructed family. It's not as if we sat together and we said we're gonna have this child together, but he doesn't make me feel unloved or unwanted, or he's a real loving child. I'm happy.
And the 20-year-old Ray, I guess he would have been older when you all got together.
That was a piece of drama by itself. Because he was with his father, so he was just getting a lot of static messages. But we clicked off really well. Him and I, we clicked off very, very well. The thing I find, because he didn't grow with us, he was a regular visitor. A lot of the gendered norms that the society teaches, they're more evident in him than they are in the younger one. The short one is more. Listen, this is what this boy do sometime. I'm gonna give you this story. This child sent me this message on my WhatsApp. That's the Sean, the younger one, about some two male dogs look like we're having sex, and then somebody's watching it and giving like a kind of scornful expression, and then in the background music is playing Boom Bye Bye and a Batty Boy head. I started on the recliner. I was on a recliner, like an old man on a recliner, and I called him over and I say, yeah, Boom Bye Bye and Ray head, because you don't promote no lesbian, I have to dead. This child eyes full up with tears. So you see, these are the things like it's sometimes a struggle here, having to push back against the kind of latent homophobia that takes place. But because he grew with us, that simple sentence was enough to like just give him a check. But with the older one who grew with his father, um, there's he more heteronormative. So he wouldn't display like homophobic attitudes, which he doesn't have any at all. But he would not. Whereas the show might be more likely to get up and be like speak in favor of or be more of an advocate. The other one is more. He'd be like, just kill that talk, just kill that talk. But he's not very. I don't think he's uncomfortable with it, but he's not going to be. It's different. It's a different. There's a difference.
Yeah. And I think, like I remember in Jabari, because we moved here when Jabari was 8. And I was by then only in same gender love and relationships. But it was amazing that my partners, because it was more, would always be Sharon's sister. He had real aunts. The people would come because we'd have birthday parties. And when we had birthday parties for Jabari, I remember Lisa Bukaj would come. It used to be all gayed out. Enough balloons, like it was a wedding going on. Real, you know how we do, right? So nothing could be simple. And he was a very shy, introverted child. And it would be over the top. But all of the parents, everybody would refer to my partner as my sister. In church, and I would go to All Saints with my partner and Karen Berkeley when breakup happening. Hey, I haven't seen your sister in church for a long time.
Did she look like you?
Sister. And my mother used to always say, Karen no only make 4 children, and Giselle ain't one of them. You know what I mean? But it was this, people, we never had open issues, but it was the way that people dealt. It was easier for them to refer to my partners as my sister, So it's interesting, raising children. And I guess it depends about, again, your personality. Because you got to roll through me to get to my child, and it will get ugly. And not that it, I come across as really nice. You all know the truth, right? So any other comments from the group? I saw Philippa on earlier. Philippa, Jackie was on. Jackie, you still here? Jackie Cook. Oh.
So Sharon.
Yes, ma'am. So I don't know who talking.
Dio. Hi, how you doing? So
Good.
I pop it in quickly because yes. I'm working at the moment, so I kind of in and out. So I have my experience. I'll just share my experience.
Yes.
Well, first off, I have a son that I gave birth to.
Mm-hmm.
He's 10 years old. I was married to his father because, well, I always knew I was gay. However, my mother is a pastor. So that complicated my life a whole lot. So it was more like we had an arrangement, you know what? We don't really like each other. He had his own thing going on. I had my own thing going on. But you know what? For the sake of pleasing the masses, we decided, you know what? Hey, we hitched this whole plan. Let's get married. Cool. So that happened. And for some reason, his feelings changed. And eventually I was like, you know what? Already in this situation, I'll try. Which I did. Got pregnant fairly quickly. Had my son, and after I had my son, for me personally, it was like nothing else mattered, and it really, really just it caused another shift.
Dio, you froze. We was now getting to the juicy part. It caused another shift.
Let's leave it at that. It function with him in a certain way. So
Right.
that dissolved. He's still around. He takes him every other weekend, that kind of thing, because even though I'm his primary parent, I don't feel the need to, ice him out, or, once he doesn't bother me, I'm cool, because as far as I'm concerned, my son still needs his father. He already knew him as his father. To really totally remove him from the picture would be inhumane. So I still allow him to see him. I still allow him to go spend time with him, that kind of thing. But I'm mommy, and mommy has, so I technically, most times he calls me daddy, and he calls my ex-wife mommy, right? Well, with my second son, this is where it gets tricky. Now, I was married to an American. We had a baby through IVF, and when we dissolved, because I wasn't able to, have any legal claim in a certain way to the baby. Yeah, it was a really, really complicated mess. I was not able to be put on a birth certificate at the time. And so when our marriage dissolved, basically that was her child. I had no way of, really fighting to be a part of that child's life. And that was really, really frustrating. It's only recently, like, let's say about 5-6 months, that, we came to an agreement and an understanding where that is concerned. But before that, I hadn't seen my child in like a year and a half.
And how old is that little person?
3.
3. And the child lives here or abroad?
Well, he's here right now, but he lives in America mostly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you all have come to an agreement or an arrangement?
Yeah, we eventually came to an agreement, whereas he would kind of do half and half.
Okay.
He would do half and a half, because she's not willing to move here permanently. I'm not willing to move there permanently. She has her life set up over there. I have my life set up here. So, it was a whole mess, but as I said, we kind of found some middle ground and trying to work through that. The donor, however, was anonymous. So we don't have that complication, thank God.
Okay.
And yeah, working it out.
Parenting. There's no easy guide, but thank you for sharing that, dear.
All right. Heading back to it.
All right. Stay safe, love.
I just want to share something quickly because
go right ahead. You don't have to be quick. You can take your time.
I remember when Sharon was saying that when her son came, when Jabari came, that she changed, and I kind of had an experience like that too, where so my wife and I did all the processes together. We went to all the appointments, did everything together, all the planning, the whole journey. But when my son was born, don't touch him, don't touch him. If you touch him, you're touching him wrong. I didn't want to leave him with anybody. I literally did not sleep for like 72 hours after he was born, because I have pictures of me sleeping like a crazy person, like next to him, and like one eye like this, like he was in a little box, because we did the whole hippie baby box thing. And we were like, I was like, no, I have to sleep there. I have to watch to make sure he's alive. And she's like, Cheyenne, you are falling down from lack of sleep. I can watch him. He's sleeping. He's not even doing anything. Nope. Don't hold him. Don't touch him. Don't bathe him. Nothing. Don't even watch him too close. Stay far. And yeah, it took a while to kind of like work your way up, because when that little person is born, you get this like rush of hormones. You feel like and not just feel, but I had a strong feeling of, I'll just speak for me, of that he literally needed me to survive, not just for like breast milk or whatever, but like I had to protect him. And that applied to everyone, regardless of who. So it's really hard. You have to learn, even in that relationship, and we had been together for years before, learning how to partner together, how to parent together. It's a whole different dimension of that partnership. And it's, I mean, people do it all the time in all different relationship formats, but it's not easy. It's really not.
I remember it took me about a day for it to kick in though, because I did natural childbirth. I wanted no drugs at all. And so, and he took his time. And so when he appeared, I was like, can you get that off my chest? My Aunt Reza was in the room with Leslie because his father cut the umbilical cord, the whole works. I was like, can you get that off my chest? Because at that time, I was like, okay, and I'm ready to go home. And then they said, well, you can leave, but the baby will have to stay. I was like, stay where? So we stayed. But I remember, you see, I'm looking around, I did not have a cute baby. It was not cute. I was like, what is wrong with this child head?
No newborns are cute. All those photos are of like 3-month-old babies.
Right? So I had this little ugly baby, and then Auntie Rita said, you need to not say that because they will have a psychologist come. I said, but he ugly because something wrong with his head. It was a strange shape. So it took almost a year for him to come into his head, right? Anyway, but I would tell you, it is so important to have a good co-parent, regardless of gender. Leslie turned out to be more maternal than I was. When Jabari got about 3 and I started to work like crazy hours because I was the main breadwinner. And then they bonded like, you know, they did everything together. You know, I would leave home at 5 o'clock in the morning and not come back home till 10 o'clock at night working overtime before and after. And they were like ruling like a team. And so I kind of felt for a long time like not part of that mix. And then when I moved to Trinidad, I always had work that had me traveling, and my mother would reinforce that I was a bad parent because I was a lesbian, one, but also because I wasn't there for the graduations and for the confirmation. And I would ask them, and we always had this really open relationship. I said to him, you know, I have to go. He said, Mom, if I had a choice between confirmation and Brazil, I would be in Brazil too, you know? So he has always been an understanding human being. My village, who helped me raise him, which I couldn't do without my Trinidadian village, I could not do it, was not so sympathetic about my choices, my life choices, and about the way I chose to raise him as being an independent spirit, having the right to tell me no, and a level of autonomy and all of that good stuff. But yeah, it's not easy. And doing it as a single person is really hard, even with a village, because there's sometimes you just, and let me tell you all good people, you all intended parents, they don't ever go away. They don't. Don't think at 18, they're going to go off somewhere. No, this goes nowhere. They constantly come back. And when they come back, they become like, man, you know, if you're in your father's house, you'd be cooking. He said, yeah, but I'm not. So, you know, so don't, I know you're all anticipating and there's the rush at everything to have these babies, right? But they don't ever go away. They don't. Just be prepared and shy and smiling. And when you want to roll up in your house with some she could do or he could do, and you'll be like, not in this house.
Actually, I'm torn. I'm like, oh, I can't wait for the independent like stage. And then literally he started little pre-K 3, like, which is not even real school, is like where they go and they play and then they sleep and then they come back home. And we dropped him off here in DC. As walking distance from the house, we dropped him off. He turned and he waved and he went inside. When I tell you, we both walked back home crying. You would swear somebody kidnapped like our parents or something, or a dog.
Every time
Crying.
for summer, every time it would be like Leslie and I, we wouldn't eat, we wouldn't sleep. There was lots of crying and all of that drama going on. And then I was like, you know, it would take us at least a week or two to adjust to Jabari not being, and it was all that, you know, he needed to have the Trinidad experience and all that. Even though as he got older, he called me Shashi. He never called me mommy as a child. It was always Shashi.
Oh.
Yeah. And I remember he was supposed to come home at the end of the holidays. And my mother called and mommy said he kept repeating, I need my Shashi. I need my Shashi. And I said, well, he only has 3 more weeks. He ended up in Mount Hope. And I had to pay someone to bring him back home. So when the boy said he needed his Shashi,
he knew he was starting
he needed his Shashi.
Yeah.
And so all of those cues and stuff, oh, that's why he was looking so nice. He put on a shirt for me. Oh, God.
Yes, that's where he came back. Mr. Man take himself into bed. There was a t-shirt under that shirt and a tank top under the t-shirt. It was a whole thing.
It was a whole layer into it.
Oh, man dressed himself in the dark and put on a button-up shirt because he thinks button-up shirts look more beautiful.
Okay.
So he put on a button-up shirt so his Auntie Sharon could see him look fancy.
Oh gosh, Lord, see, I still have it, ladies. I still have it. Don't hate, I have it. Even though they're not even 5, I got it. Any more comments as we look to close off? And y'all can't just leave it because I have more things to read. Closing notes, etc., and community. Okay, let me do the community announcements.
Before you do that, Darcel and Patty, somebody asked for your IG. You talked about your Instagram account. So if you might want to share it.
Yeah, we're gonna add in the chat just now. So it's at QueersTTC on Instagram.
All right, great. Thank you.
And if you'll need me to be in the room to help deliver the child, I'm good with blood, you know. I mean, I don't know what else I could do, you know. I could hold her while she's trying to faint and so on.
Sharon, is that your way of trying to get on the birth paper?
Yes.
No. Done. The shop closed. I don't even want to date nobody with a child. You have to be over 50. You gotta be 50 and plus. We ain't doing, anyway, go ahead, ladies. But I could be supportive. I got you.
Yeah, I was saying you could come make food. We always need food.
Oh yeah, shit, I could break all your bread and sorrel.
Yeah. Make sure you get the sorrel. Make sure you get the sorrel.
Okay, so while y'all think about any more comments, let me read the community announcements. During the month of Pride 2021, 3TC is hosting a chat room on HIV awareness and education Monday to Fridays from 5 p.m. All information available on the PrideTT platforms. PrideTT has collaborated with Scotiabank, this is Phase Project, to expand its generation gap and launch a community-run mentorship program for persons between 17 and 25. And please visit our website for more information. Since we have Faye on the live, Faye, you want to share a little bit about your generation gap program?
I didn't particularly want to share because we're really and truly having the official launch.
Okay.
While we do the generation gap, which is Monday the 19th.
Okay, well, tell people.
Right? So basically what generation gap is, this year would be the fifth installation, I believe, of generation gap. This is where we have a panel of what we call elders or LGBTQ icons, but this year, because we're featuring Power, it's our team, we're featuring the L's of the community, and they discuss what it was like for them identifying as a lesbian and how they made it through life, what their life strategies were, what the difficulties are for them still, how they overcame certain struggles, what might still be a struggle for them. And we allow the youth and the young adults of our community to ask questions. So what we're developing it into is a mentor-mentee type of program where we kind of would put together some youth with some mentors to help them through a course of certain months. So I'm not going to go anything more into that, but that's basically what it is. And Generation Gap has always the discussion that we've had over the years, starting in 2018. I think we did 2 in 2019. There was 1 in 2020, and of course, the 1 in 2021 they're having. It's always very, very well attended via Facebook Live as well as the Zoom. So we're reproducing that again, and we're having some really and truly outstanding ladies being part of the panel this year. So just a little snippet. Ray is going to be part of the panel. Ray is one of our panelists this year. So join us on Monday, July the 19th, where we will kick it off.
Great, thank you. And then for other events as well, on July 14th, we will be having a session on women's movement building, Women Who Love Women Unite. And we're going to kind of look at the feminist movement, not only within the L space, but in Trinidad and Tobago. And I saw Fulade in the chat earlier. Fulade, who is the founder of WINOD, which is a women's organization.
She's no longer on. I'm not seeing her. Yeah.
So Fulade will talk about the feminist movement in Trinidad and Tobago. And then we have some, we'll also have Ashley Burnett talking about young movement building among the youth. And then who else? I think we're supposed to have Danica Thomas. So that should be a really good session. And then the very next night on Thursday night, well, that's the hot session, the gender-based violence session. We'll have not only looking at GBV within the L space, but it's a concern for the overall LGBTQI community as a microcosm of Trinidad and Tobago, where gender-based violence is just rampant. And so we're going to have a psychologist on. We're going to have someone who has witnessed GBV and intimate partner violence growing up, as well as we'll have somebody from the Trinidad and Tobago gender-based violence unit talking about how the service that the TTPS offers is open to us all, and what they're doing to ensure that, you know, there's no discrimination if I show up at the unit, you know, to lodge a complaint, etc. And so I'm excited about those two sessions. But earlier tomorrow they have, tomorrow night there's a Move to Freedom Stories of Queer Migrants, Inequality and Vulnerability to Violence, being facilitated by Marcus Kassoon and the Caribbean Equality Project. And so, I mean, we're like day and we're going through
Yes.
Okay, so we'll put you down as a panelist to share some gender-based violence research.
We're going to have a psychologist. Who's the psychologist? Dr. Khan doing it for you or who?
Me, I think we were supposed to get either Luke or Jonna. Oh. So yeah, I have put a gender-based expert. So you could be the gender-based violence expert.
Well, yeah, that is my thesis right now.
Well, there we go.
God.
Right.
The plate's full.
That's okay. It's a couple of hours. Look,
There, you did say anything that we want, you were willing to do. Should I remember?
Yes.
Remember, and say she
And
has
I
made
said
it
to you, be
go
careful
ahead.
what you wish for, right?
Correct. I know I messaged Joanna today and said the same thing. I said, I'm sorry that you're now on my radar, but can you be at the session tonight in case anybody has any triggering moments? She's like, I'm working till 8. Okay, can you be on a session next week? But that's what we have to do. It's only when people suddenly appear back on the landscape, you say, oh my God, that's a psychologist. Oh, that's a GBV expert. And, you know, I tell people everything that we need resides right here within this community, you know, everything, you know. Who's Aaliyah showing us a beautiful picture of a beach? Hi, Aaliyah. I just like that beach scene. So any more close? Jackie can't connect to audio. I don't know what kind of bogus connection Jackie has. I hope you're hearing me, Jackie. And you will come with some lame excuse about why you couldn't connect to audio. Anybody else has any closing remarks before our speakers close off? Michael, Kanisha, Eva. Hi, Eva. Eva. You know what? People have come on here and don't say,
Sharon.
try your best now. Try your best. You've parent, you've been in relation. You couldn't say nothing? Give us some juice.
I have to get permission from my wife. You know that.
Where's Nicole?
I'm not home yet, so I don't know. I'm hoping she's at home.
Oh, I like that. You're hoping. So how are you? So how you found the discussion, Eva?
Oh my God, this discussion was really great. I mean, Nicole and I were trying to have a baby, but we were having some difficulties. But like I said, I don't have her permission to talk about it, and I'm on the Zoom call, so I can't, you know, I'm not gonna call her and talk about it. And I ain't gonna let her watch the Facebook Live and then I reach home and sleep on the couch.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Or they don't let you in the house.
Right?
Then there's that.
Nicole, we love you, we love you, we love you.
Right, but I mean, great discussion. I think everyone so far from what I've been seeing has been enjoying the discussion.
Great. Anyone else wants to jump in? Verlia, joining us from Canada.
Yes, and I want to say thank you. You know, I just love coming here for these discussions. It's just like amazing. And thank you for sharing your story in particular, Sharon, because we're kind of around the same of a particular age. So I really appreciate to hear that. I have fur babies, like, you know, a cat, but, you know, I really appreciate people's journey. And I think what I like in particular is that this whole thing that if you have you know, if you have particular genitals, that means that you can carry a baby. That means that you could just have it easy so. And I think dispelling those myths that actually it takes a lot to have a child. And, you know, there's this whole thing that because you have this vagina that somehow, you know, you get the sperm and you're pregnant. It's not true. And not only for like so-called like straight women, but for like, you know, like all women, right? So I love these stories that gets rid of that kind of myth that it takes a lot. And I really love to hear our community in particular being so intentional of wanting to create family and, you know, do that. So yeah, I'm glad I'm here and I appreciate it.
And you are newlywed. You've been married, what, maybe 2 years?
Yes, 3 years. I know, with my 50 self. I'm happy.
Okay, sweetheart.
I know, and we just got our
Sharon,
nice
she just
little
had her
cat.
first fur baby.
Yes, 3 weeks old. Well,
yes.
We had her for 3 weeks. She's a year. And that means she's a teenager. But she,
And
you know,
we
she's giving us
haven't
thunder, but you know.
And we haven't seen the pictures yet, you know.
Yeah.
There haven't been those type of parents to share those pictures of their babies.
She's hiding from us. She's a teenager, okay? She giving us style, but she's coming close. You'll see it soon. You'll be annoyed when I get the pictures. Don't worry, don't rush it.
Lovely to hear your voice,
Thank you. Thank you.
Good to hear your voice. Anybody else before we close off with Dancehall, Patty and Cheyenne? Okay, ladies, take it away.
I think I just want to say thanks to everyone. It's always good, you know, sharing space and experiences, and you know, being in touch with, you know, community. What I feel is like my community. And if anyone ever wants to reach out to find out anything about this process or the entire journey that comes after, feel free to reach out to me. Follow Darcel and Patty there, because you know my journey isn't going to be like everyone else's. Like it's so different for everyone, and I think that's so there's diversity in that too. And yeah, good night, everyone.
Hey
Thank
Sharon,
you.
how can someone reach you? You just offered, but
You're right. Good, good for pointing that out, Faye. So I'm not on Facebook, but you can find me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is ShyTelf, SHY, like shy, and TELF. Or you can, so if you see my name here at the bottom of my picture, literally my email address is just my name at gmail.com. So you can reach me that way as well. And if it's really urgent, I need to reach me by phone, find Sharon or Darcel and Patty, they have my number.
great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Love having you, love seeing you again.
Same here. Nice also chatting with you, Faye. I don't get to see people a lot. I think you were on the Caucus call a while ago. It's always nice being around faces that you've known for a long time and people who've gotten to see you be all different kinds of person, you know? Yeah.
Oh, Faye wasn't on that call. So Faye, do you know Cheyenne got her master's degree last week, the day of the Caucus? She now has a master's in
Yay, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Darcel, Patty.
Go. Me? Well, thanks for having us on the panel. We do have some dreams cooking up so that we could offer at home IUIs, something that's a more affordable than, you know, accessing the clinic, something more accessible and within our community, just at a more affordable price. And so that's something Darcel and I have been working on and hope to bring it probably in the next year or two. Once we get our baby, then we'll come back and continue working here together for the community and in the region. Yeah.
Yeah, and also want to say, if anybody who is actually interested in trying or just curious, like for the very least, check your egg levels, because you're so young and you want to, like, you think you're not gonna have a child right now, maybe you'll wait next 5-10 years, but what if the eggs aren't actually there when you're ready? So look into it, get it checked out. You can go to the Trinidad IVF clinic or the Barbados IVF, or you might even be able to get it just through a private doctor. Just request, I think the AMH.
AMH, it's a blood test. Yeah.
Patty also has referrals. She can just give you
I can
a
write the
referral
lab.
letter.
I can write the lab request. And also if you have a sperm donor and you want to make sure they have good quality sperm, I can write the request for getting their sperm evaluated
at Care
Lab. So that, and you know, that's all private. But there are real few things that might be accessible in public, but it all has to begin with having a problem, right? And so you have to have, like, maybe if you just go for your annuals, you can start accessing that kind of care then. And so it is, some of it is available in public, especially like the hysterosplendogram. It's hard to pronounce, but the one where they shoot the dye through your uterus to see if the tubes are open. That's offered in public, but you have to have signs of infertility to access it, right?
Yeah, and technically, queers are considered infertile since you're not, like, sperm isn't accessible. And so if you try a couple of times, it doesn't work, like, you can just go in and say, hey, I've been trying, it doesn't work. Like, can I get this test done?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
you-
sometimes, sorry, I don't know if this applies to also to Trinidadian insurance providers, but at least with us, that was kind of the loophole that got us through that. Like, once you're insured, if infertility treatment is covered under your policy, then you, as whether or not your relationship is recognized, if you're the insured person, then you can often access fertility treatment, or you can sometimes access fertility treatment that way.
It's
if you're
not.
diagnosed.
I can tell you one time it's not.
It's not covered.
No.
all right.
Yeah.
Well, I think it depends on the
provider.
insured company and
Yeah.
the policy that whoever you're under, the company, what they offer or not. I know Beacon has just introduced theirs, I think, because I saw some increases on one of my family members' insurance and the new benefits, some of that was offered. I don't know though. When they start digging in, because you know the insurance companies, they dig at everything to see what not to pay, what they might locate or find. But another thing I would like to say, and Darcel brought it up, ladies on the call, those out there in Facebook and wherever social media you're accessing this, your health is very, very important. The annual exams are very, very necessary. The earlier you catch anything, the better it is, the easier it is to be treated, the more possibility and percentage that you would fully recover and that it will not hamper whatever your future plans would be. I know how difficult it is sometimes financially to access certain things, but if you have a little bit of planning or seek out those organizations that offer them freely or at a reduced cost. Family planning does a lot of things. Just seek out, ask the questions, reach out to this organization or to somebody on this call to see what information that you need to have, see if we have accesses or if we can put you in touch with someone. And mental health, your mental health. Please don't sit back. There's always somebody listening, somebody out there for you. That's it.
Great. And as Faye mentions, the Family Planning Association of Trinidad and Tobago also provides services to men as well as women now. So you can get your prostate checked, etc. So yeah, there are things available. And I learned over the years that you could join a clinic in the public health sector. It might take forever, but if you join a clinic, you can get eye surgery, knee surgery, hysterectomy, all kinds of things if you join the clinic. And sometimes your doctors, depending on what your condition is, may refer you to the Port of Spain General Hospital to join the clinic. Yeah. Because they have all the advanced machines and so on. But as Patty mentioned this morning, sometimes the attitudes of the people, the duty bearers, the people who are supposed to take care of us, but they're also human too, and they're under a great amount of stress. But when you sign up for this work, right? When you sign up to be a healthcare practitioner, your duty is to provide quality support and to be kind and gentle with folks. So on that note, lovely, beautiful woman, men, trans, whoever was on this call, non-binary, thank you so much. Continue joining us for the next how many ever days of PrideTT. It was wonderful seeing you all. I love you guys. And let's keep in touch. If upon reflection, any questions come to mind, shoot me an email at saemottly@hotmail.com or through PrideTT, and we will get someone to address your questions and concerns. Good night, ladies. Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Bye.
Bye. Bye.